Hello and welcome back to the Way to Native Chronicles. Sitting here on a crispy Canadian morning in the fall, and I'm about to make some fisher boxes. In some previous videos I've shown the plans and the procedure for making some martin boxes, but we have some really nice juicy fishers on our trap line I've been noticing, and I really want to get after those. So that's going to require a little bit of a larger box. This one here is one of the martin boxes I made before that I showed on a previous video, which I'll link above here. I've had over 100 people ask for and receive free plans for that one. And what we're going to do with this one is I'm going to show you how to put this together roughly off these instructions that I've created, and we'll put it together, show you how it's done. And at the end of this video, if you'd like to have a set of these plans, since I don't want to publish my email, just in comments and stuff, because of all the bots, just look at the end of the video. It'll show you my email address. Send me an email, ask me for the Fisher box plans, and I'll fire you a link that will bring you right straight there, where you can just download some PDFs of it. So, sounds like a good deal? Let's go then. I'm going to briefly interrupt this video to show how a martin box and a fisher box works, how they compare to each other, because not everyone watching this video will fully understand the concept. There's going to be timestamps on this video anyways, so if you know all this stuff, just skip ahead to where we continue with the construction of this box. But I think for some it would be useful to actually see what the differences are, why they're made the way they are, and how they function. So let's just start off by showing the comparison. Here is a martin box, right? And here is a martin trap. So I'm going to put this box here. You can see you can put the bait inside there, and these slots here are for the trap itself, which is actually set here. Here I have a fisher box. This fisher box is a bit bigger, right? And it's the same thing, except this time I just use a piece of wire to secure the top part that holds the bait. And we have the slots, and we have also a slot at the bottom there, so you can slip it onto a roofing nail that's pounded into a tree, and just you mount them just like that and slide it down on the nail so it stays fixed to a tree, which is one of the ways you can mount these things. So the size of these two traps is fairly different, right? And the way they go in is they basically sit in these slots here like so. So you get this one mounted in there, and this one here, I've got to be careful I don't set that trigger off. Yeah, let's see here. There we go. Okay. Although I do have the safeties on these traps. And then this one here, we're just going to set that in there like so. And this one's got a nice tight fit to it. And you can see that sits in the box. Now, with these boxes and the slits, if the trap tends to fall out and it's not tight enough in these slots, you just take the springs and you kind of work them up, and it'll press against the slots and hold the trap in place. So that's the same thing with both of these, but as you can see, there's a significant size factor on these things. But aside from the size, it's really the same kind of animal, even though it's intended for different animals. So that gives you an idea. When an animal goes into the trap, it's going to trigger that spring, that trip wire inside there, and then the trap will close in a rather violent fashion. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give you a quick demonstration of how these traps work. So I have a trap set right here on this tree, If I take this paper towel roll, see the trap is sitting in there. You got your bait in the box at the top, and if you want to spring it, you just go like so, and that's it. It's clamps down hard, can't be opened up. And finally, before we start into the construction of the box, I'll just go over a couple of other question marks some people might have. They might say, well, why are the boxes built tapered like this? Well, one of the big reasons is so you can fit box inside box, and when you're transporting them, that makes the whole thing a lot more compact. You can just stack them and rack them, right? Another thing to be aware of is the fact that since they are tapered, when these traps go into the slots, you want to still have them able to go deep enough. You don't want them sitting at the very face, because that tends to lead to hip catches and stuff. So how far the trap can go in is important. So that's where your box dimension is pretty critical, how fast it tapers and stuff. So it's a really good idea to, if you're going to build tapered boxes, just refer to these plans and it's going to work fine for you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use these plans. This first sheet on here shows how many fisher boxes I've managed to figure out can be made on a single 4x8 sheet. Now what I have here right now is a 2x4 sheet, so this is just for demonstration, but this plan here shows you how to make your cuts to get the maximum number of fisher boxes out of a 4x8, and the number you can make should be 9. And the way I dimension stuff in this set of plans is I start from one point and I just give you all the markers all along, so you can just kind of put your ruler on the sheet and just go tick, 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 referring to the marker points along the plan there. So first thing we got to do is, this is a 24x48. I'm going to cut it down into a thinner strip so that I can have one row of these to work on for this video. But if you're going to do a 4x8 sheet, you just cut them all off. Now it's not exactly a 1 foot strip we're going to make. In order to maximize the use of this piece of plywood, I'm going to use strips of 13 and 11/16. Seems like a pretty precise number, but you know, if you want it to add up so there's no waste at the end, then that's the way you'd want to do it. So let's see how we can do here. I haven't used this marker here for a while, but should be able to get that to hook on right there. And where's my other mark? My other mark is right here. So take that and I'll stretch it good. There, now I've got my mark. I'm gonna cut off this strip. So you see, this is a little bit wasteful doing it with a 2x4 strip, because this part here is not going to be really very useful, but that's what we have to do this time, right? I said that you'd have to throw away this piece of leftover after cutting out the top row. You actually don't. I looked at my plans again and figured out a way to get 3 more sides cut out of this piece here. Okay, I think we're all set up for cutting this board here. See how accurately I can do this. Get that cord from getting stuck. Yeah, this is a thin piece I don't need. Beautiful. Now this one should be the 13. I'm going to lose a little bit for the cut, but the length doesn't have to be that precise. Right? So here is our first sheet here. Now let's get set up for cutting out the sides out of this. Okay, so now that we have this strip cut out, next thing to do is going to turn to the third page of these plans, where I show how to cut the top row. Actually, you can do them, well, let's just stick with this. We're going to go to the second page, or the third page on this set of plans. And then there's a fourth page that shows the row underneath it to cut. I mean, it's sort of a duplication of the top one, but you can follow that if you're working on a 4x8 sheet and you're doing your rows down and down. You'll see from the overall plan what I mean from that. So what I have on this sheet is I've got all the measurement marks that I can use for put my ticks along the top and ticks along the bottom. Once I have those ticks marked off on the plywood, then I'll just take the ruler and I'll connect them, and I'll have that zigzag pattern on here. Okay, so let's give that a shot here. I better put my glasses on. I'm going to start from the top corner here, and it says my first mark should be at 9 3/4. So let's see, 9 3/4. There's one right there. And then the next mark should be at 16. And then the next one should be at 25 3/4. Be careful when you're doing this. It's easy to make a mistake, even though this is quite straightforward. And then 32. And then the last one is going to be 41 3/4, which is just a little past my mark here. So 30, from 32 to 41 is going to be what? That's 8, 9 3/4. So I'll just make a mark 9 3/4 from this last one here, since my ruler isn't long enough. 9 3/4. Okay, then along the bottom, we just proceed along here, and we're going to do a 1 inch right there, and then 8 3/8, no, 8 3/4, and then 17, and 24 3/4, and 33, and 40 3/4. So from 33 to 40 3/4, that's 6 3/4, right? No, 7 3/4, I should say. 7 3/4. I'll just mark that off on this one here. Okay, so let's bring my marks down here so they're at the edge. We got those there. Now we just have to take this board and connect the dots, right? I used to be a draftsman at one time, so this is sort of second nature, I guess. How many of you out there are draftsmen or have been, and how many of you were drafting when everything was done on the board with pencils and T-squares and stuff like that? That's when I started. So one thing it does do for you, it instills in you uh, the notion that you better be right, check your dimensions and stuff like that. Even with stuff like this too, it's easy to make a mistake. But you can see that this pattern is starting to come along quite nicely. It really helps if you haven't made any mistakes or false ticks, because on the way, because it's easy to get confused on this, because these things are not sort of what you expect. I mean, this is not super precision work anyways, mind you, but it's always nice to do a good job. If you're working on it, do it right? Okay. Yeah, that should be good. Okay. And I think I got some here. Let's see, let's put that one there. That one there a bit. Pretty cold out today. Fingers are getting a little numb. Should have started on this sooner. Now, one thing with these fisher traps, didn't mention that at the beginning, but they are size 160s, eh? So I was using 120s for the martin there. So 160 is a fair bit, it's a fair bit bigger. So you definitely need a bigger box. So here what you can see is my marks on the board. And now it's just a matter of cutting them off. Now this is a little bit more than one martin fisher box. So I got one, side 2, 3. So I'm going to need these ones here to make one box. I'll leave this one, and I can always use that when I go to make another box later. But for this time, we're just going to make one. I think if you're getting into production, you'd want to just do a whole 4x8 sheet and get your 9 boxes, just one after another. Just go through the whole process. But for the purposes of this video, and also if you're doing it for the first time, it's not a bad idea to just make one first, just to make sure you don't get the kinks out of your method. So let's move on and let's cut off these pieces. See if I can get this right. You better cut it from the other side. That cutting along that edge there is kind of iffy. Yeah, that's right here. Otherwise, I'm lift up this thing here. Oh, that's not too bad. So go in that other direction, the blade was pulling out. But that shouldn't be a problem anymore. You notice that Unlike some guys, I don't have a table saw and all that fancy stuff, right? Go. Okay, so that completes that part. After cutting those pieces, I have two of the skinny side pieces. This one here's got a little piece sticking out of the side of it. So I got these two thin pieces. These are the ones that your slots are going to go into. You really got to pay attention. It's easy to make a mistake and put the slot on the wrong piece. But if you look at the plan here, it's quite clear. One of these pieces, here are my the two top and bottom pieces, right? I got an extra one because of the number that I cut. But these guys here, this one's got a little piece of stuff sticking on it too. So yeah, close enough. I'll take this guy here. So we got these guys here, and it's going to fit together like so, right? And then the other piece in here. We're just going to pin these guys together like that. Some little nails, and I think you get the idea, right? So really, from the rest of the way through the set of plans, you can refer to my video on the making of the Martin box, because that's going to give you everything from here on is the same, right? What we're going to do with this one here, and you don't have to go all that far. What I do with these boxes is I have a little catch cage in the back. So here's that Martin box again, right? So I have a little catch cage in the back that I hold it with a piece of mechanics wire. In this case, I just happen to have a little latch, so I use that to hold it together, right? And I have a screen here, and I have a screen here, so I can put the bait in here and then close it. Just pull a little piece of mechanics wire over there and hold it. And I have a slot on this side here. That's all shown in the plans, and if you want to see it actually done, you can see the Martin box video. Then I have slots on the side here for the springs for the trap, and you can just put a roofing nail into the tree, fit it over that hole, and then slide it down and have this thing mounted in a variety of ways, right? So it's quite a nice little box. The Fisher box will be the same, it's just different dimensions for the bottom and sides. So you know, the advantage of this method here is you kind of like to have a screen on the top so birds can see the bait, but they can't get at it, and then they sit around and they attract attention, draw attention to your set there. Instead of doing it this way, it's a fair bit of extra trouble. You know, you got to put a hinge on there and all that kind of stuff. You could just not do this, get a piece of half-inch mesh screen, cut a little bit bigger so that you have to kind of cram it in there. That way you can just put your bait in, take that piece of screen and just cram it in there. But if you want to make it really nice, you know, it's all totally up to you, right? Because these things don't tend to last forever anyways, necessarily. Porcupines and stuff like to chew on plywood, and it depends, right? So don't get too fussy over it. The main thing is just make it fairly sturdy. Have fun. Save yourself quite a bit of money. If you look on the first page of the set of plans, there is quite a savings. It's more than 50%, I think, you'll save making your own. So if you already like doing a little bit of carpentry work, then it's all good, right? So as I said at the end of this video, on the closing screen, I'm going to present my email address, so just fire me off an email. As I said before at the beginning, I've sent off over 100 sets of plans for this Martin box. They're totally free. It's just a service to reviewers, and especially if you subscribe. I mean, you don't have to subscribe to get the plans, but it really helps to support this channel more than you possibly know, I think. So encourage you to do that, and really I'm looking forward to getting those fishers that are on our line, being watching them in the trail cam. So I know where they are. They're around, and this will, with a 160, will do the job much better than having the 120s out there for martins, because it's mostly fisher out there from what I can tell. So from the Weighted Native Chronicles, I hope you enjoyed this. What can I say? I'm going to catch you next time, right? See ya. Did you like this video? If you did, I think you're going to like this one right over here. So check it out. And I appreciate your subscribing if you haven't done so already. Remember to do that while you're watching this next video. Click like, it all helps us out for this channel. Catch you next time.